You know, there comes a time in everyone's life when you have to make funeral arrangements, whether it's at need, which means that someone has passed and then it's time to make the arrangements. Or the smart thing to do is do it pre-need. Well, today on the show we're talking to Chad Riemann with Riemann Funeral Home. How are you?
Hey Jim, thank you.
And we're at the Ocean Springs location. This year is your second anniversary for this beautiful location here.
That's right. This is our sixth location here on the Mississippi coast, and we opened it in 2015, and very pleased with what it has been able to provide for the community here.
And of course, you know, it doesn't really matter where you live along the Gulf Coast. If you choose to have your arrangements done here, I mean, you could live, I guess, up in Socia if you wanted to, and you wanted to do it here, you could do it here.
And we have had that. You know, the funny thing is that whenever you choose to go out to dinner or somewhere like that, you don't think twice about maybe driving 30 minutes to go to your favorite restaurant.
Right.
But a lot of times you don't think necessarily about choosing a particular location for services. And this location here on Lemoyne Boulevard is centrally located right here at exit 50. So it's convenient to a lot of different communities in this area, West Jackson County, East Harrison County, and beyond.
Yeah, matter of fact, I've mentioned to Chad several times whenever it comes, time or whatever, this is where I'd like to, unless you build something, else, D'Iberville or something like that, which is where I live, but I mean, this is very convenient for me. Let's talk about, the difference between at need and pre-need and the importance of pre-need planning.
You cannot stress enough how important it is to pre-plan. Matter of fact, if you look at some of our advertising that we do now, we have a tagline that says, "Life is short, tell them now." And the point of that is discussing your wishes with your family. I've sat with families before at the table talking about funeral arrangements, and those that have pre-planned and those that have not, it's a big difference as far as their emotional state, decisions that have to be made, not to mention the financial obligation you can relieve that financial obligation, the burden of that by pre-planning.
Now, when you sit down and pre-plan, you can look at a lot of the different options that you have, whether you want to your typical ground burial, or if you decide you want to be cremated. And there are many different options, and each option has something different to choose from. If you're going to have your typical ground burial, I mean, you've got to have a vault, you got to have a casket, and then with cremation, there are so many different choices nowadays. You can get an urn that you can throw out at sea and it slowly disintegrates, or I've seen them nowadays that you can take the urn and it's got a tree seed or something like that in it. You can plant it in the ground and it's like the ashes become part of the tree. So there's a lot of great options there. And again, as you said, more peace of mind doing it beforehand.
All of those decisions can be thought through with your family, discussed with your family, with cremation especially. We have our own crematory, which is a very important thing today to make sure that your loved one is cared for properly and consistently. But with cremation, we have the option of urn burial. You can keep the urn can be placed in a columbarium. The ashes can be scattered at sea or in a special place. So there's a lot of different options that you can discuss. There's a lot of service options as well. So you have the facility here that is set up with a reception area, and it's unlike any other facility in this area. It's set up for catering. We've had music, we've had toasts, we've had favorite food and beverages. So there really is not a right way or a wrong way to celebrate somebody's life. It's what's going to be meaningful to the family, and that's what we try to do, is help them be creative and do that to truly reflect that life lived.
Now, you said one thing that is really key. You want to celebrate that person's life. Yes, there's mourning. There's a time when you feel bad, but to look back on the person's life and talk about achievements and everything that they have done. That's the important thing. And I mean, personally, that's how I want to be remembered.
Life is a gift. And so we need to give thanks for that and celebrate that gift. And when you pre-plan, you really, that in itself is a gift to your family. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of families that have chosen to pre-plan already. They may have pre-planned with another funeral home. And the thing about pre-planning is that you can move those pre-arrangements to whatever funeral provider that you choose. And so we have honored pre-arrangements from other funeral homes in the past. And for those families that have not chosen to pre-plan yet, we would invite you to give us a call so that we can sit down and go through it, because it's a very individual process because all of us are so unique.
That's true. That's true. And again, as you mentioned, as opposed to doing something at need, which at the time can really, be a burden on someone. And there are instances where, yes, it might be totally unexpected, an accident or something like that, but it can be a little bit more stressful on you at that time.
There's no doubt about it. The emotions at that time are very high, and so decision making becomes very difficult sometimes. And the more that you have discussed this previous, it eases the burden for sure.
Anything else that we have about a minute and a half left that you want to impress upon our viewers?
I think the important thing is that when you choose a funeral home, a lot of people say, well, a funeral home's a funeral home. Well, that might not necessarily be the case. I think whenever you go to trust somebody with the care of your loved one, there needs to be somebody there that is truly there to take care of every need that you have during this time. Because of the emotional state, it all comes down to people and service.
Right.
So I feel like our team here is one of the best that we have ever had, and so I feel like we have that ability to care for every need. And even though you may have trusted someone else in the past for generations, we have to be progressive. We have to always strive to do better than we did yesterday and serve someone better than we did yesterday. And that's our state of mind here when we are called upon in the time of need.
Well, I've been to different funerals at some of your funeral homes, and always the staff, they're top notch, and they're always there for you, answering any questions. Anyway, Chad, thank you so much.
Thank you
for enlightening us on this. Again, if you have any other questions or anything, the phone number is on your screen. They'll be glad to set up an appointment with you. You can go to the website, get some information there as well. But think about that. You really save yourself a lot of peace of mind if you plan pre-need whenever you do your funeral arrangements, and do it with Riemann Family Funeral Homes here on the Gulf Coast.